Good morning, Vietnam. Oh, wait, that's not the show. But what you have is an intro from the late and great Robin Williams with Good Morning, Vietnam. If you haven't seen that movie, the show movie, you should definitely go check it out. I just thought it was appropriate to get this rolling. So good morning, America, or wherever you're watching from. Thank you so much for joining this special episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to guests who are in the mental health space, who are advocates for mental health, or experience mental health challenges. But today, I am my own guest. I made a decision last week and that I was going to do this show by myself and not bring on a guest. I actually did have one for today, but I changed her to a different day because I thought that I wanted to give a tribute to all of those that we are remembering on this special Memorial Day. And I also had this feeling that there's more that needs to be talked about than we really truly talk about. I put on makeup today for the first time in a week. I actually ended up getting the flu last week, which was miserable. Who would have thought that I would have gotten the flu in May? And in Colorado, it also snowed. So we had snow and the flu all in May, which was very unexpected. We're also ending the month of mental health awareness. So that's why I thought it would be really important to just jump on by myself without a guest today. And so we can have a conversation about Memorial Day and May and Mental Health Awareness Month. So I'm hoping that my brain keeps up with my mouth today. If you're watching this, I know that I always have at least one person watching this, and it's generally my dad. So thank you so much, Dad, for consistently believing in me and supporting everything that I do. And so that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with Memorial Day and remembering those that have lost their lives in duty. Every Memorial Day comes every year. We have the not same conversations, but we have the conversation of remembrance and those that have lost their lives that have served in the military. And I think it's really important for us to remember that back in the day. So the reason why I started out with Good Morning Vietnam is because I personally am not old enough to remember Vietnam. Of course, I remember it from history class, but I was not around for when it actually happened. What I do remember is Desert Storm. So that was my earliest recollection of war in general. And I don't know why I'm getting really emotional, but I am. I think I played this over and over in my head, how it was going to come out, but you never know what's going to happen, especially on Mental Health Mondays. So as a reminder, really quickly, if you are watching this, make sure you mash down that button to like, subscribe, or share so that you don't miss another episode of Mental Health Mondays. But back to my recollection of when I experienced or knew about Desert Storm. So my dad was in the military. He was luckily in the Army Reserve, so not always on the front line, but definitely I remember being a kid and The emotions, I'm not sure, but that's okay. We're going to roll with it today. So bear with me as I make it through this. Whew. My dad obviously is still around because I just said that he he watches the show, but not everybody is that lucky. And so that's really what Memorial Day is all about. So I think I was in, I want to say middle school when Desert Storm happened. My dad went to Germany. And for me as a young child, I didn't quite understand what was going on, but I do remember that we got this amazing map and I was able to follow along where they were. The best part is that I would magically get these packages in the mail that were filled filled with candy and cool things from Germany and all the different places that he would go. And so for me it was like a fun trip that I knew that he was gone for quite some time. And then I could see exactly where he was going and get pictures. And this is, I mean, back in the 80s when, we didn't have all of the technology. You couldn't just pop on a FaceTime chat and go back and forth and see each other. You actually had like handwritten letters that you get in the mail with these boxes, and a call every now and again when they're able to talk, right? And so following on the map and seeing exactly where he's going, I remember that. And then I remember being young and him having guard on the weekend, or drill guard. Having drill on the weekends, and so I'd go stay at grandma and grandpa's house, and we play games, and it was fun, right? So like I had all these really good memories of my dad being in the military. And if you recall back in the day, it wasn't a choice, like you got drafted, right? Like so the generation of my parents and the generation before that generation, there was a draft and you were required, right? It wasn't an option. It wasn't something that you grew up and you're like, I want to go into the military. It was like you didn't really have a choice. When they called you up, and that was your responsibility and your duty as an American. And so I think it, over that generation, it led into this responsibility of having to be in the military. Right now, today, we have much more liberty, we have much more freedom, we have the choice whether we want to or don't want to. And so those that have served, it's really important to keep in mind, especially now, like they make that choice. They make that choice to fight for our country. They make that choice to have the potential ultimate sacrifice, which is their life. And so I think that we lost a little bit of that understanding throughout time, because now you can be a billionaire by being a TikTok star. You can get paid by Facebook for doing shows. There's so many other options in life now versus having to potentially just go into the military, right? So and maybe you'll follow along with me where my brain's going today. It's still a little foggy from being sick last week, but all these things popped into my head yesterday as I was deep cleaning my house. And I was like, wow, like we have so many rights today. We have so many options today. And I feel like the generations prior to me, that they didn't have all these options. So I think the celebration and the remembrance and the like true understanding of what it means to be part of military is really important. And I got to experience, which was really, really cool last month. So my fiance, his dad is a veteran. And like I was saying, my experience when I was younger was much more of the like drill on the weekends, going to Desert Storm, but being on the being the backup, right? Like they're the sidelines, they're not in the trenches. It was more of the wow, I get really cool presents and this is great. It wasn't the regimented, my dad always being gone, military experience for me. We didn't move all over the place. My dad was always in Utah, right? Like he went to Panama to help build roads. Like there was a lot of different things, really cool things that he was able to do in the military. But as far as when you think about like a military brat or a military family experience, that wasn't the experience that I had. So now with my fiance and being a part of their family for the past 5.5, almost 6 years now, I'm getting the full gist, I guess, of what it really truly, not really truly, that's not the right words that I'm using, but the experience that he had growing up. So his dad, again, Vietnam veteran, also in Desert Storm, you know, he was in the secret section of the military, I guess you could say, in the Air Force. And I was so honored last month to be able to attend and participate in the 45th anniversary of the stealth fighter. And if you don't know anything about the stealth fighter plane, the original, the A117, I'm looking around hoping I'm more than sure I said that right. It was incredible because the camaraderie, the family dynamic that this older generation has for each other, knowing that they've been together for such a long time. And my fiance's dad was part of the original crew that built and designed and implemented this plane into action, and it was very secretive. The experience that my fiance and his family had were he was gone more often than not, right? Like they weren't exactly sure where specifically he was stationed, and it was something that they couldn't talk about. And I think that the other thing that we have to remember is it's not just the person who is actually enrolled or enlisted in the military that serves. It's also their family, the whole entire family, right? Like they're the ones that have to move. They're the ones that get stationed in these different places, or choose to, right? Like it's a choice also. You don't have to take the assignments. You don't have to travel all the time. It's not always that experience, but from what I learned and understood is that you never know where they might be, what they're working on, which is kind of cool in my eyes. I'm like, oh, I get some of the secret information that I didn't know before. And seeing and hearing these different experiences that their family had versus like what I experienced, right? Is really, really cool for me. And that's what I love about the work that I do now is having more understanding and wanting to learn more about all those things in general. And so, excuse me. So, um that was my thought that like popped in my head is like, wow, like I get to have this experience. I get to come and be with these people for this weekend and really truly see what that family dynamic means. They lost a lot of pilots. They lost a lot of family members, right? That during this time period that they were building this plane, and then it was so secretive and testing and the alien sightings, right? Um, I have a whole bunch of pictures on my Facebook from when we went last month, but I just felt so honored to be in the presence of these men and women who served our country at such a higher level with this incredible technology in this plane that was undetectable and that is now decommissioned, but they do still do training with it. Stealth fighters in general, like I knew none of this, and it was just really, really cool to be a part of that experience. And so my story, why it's going this way, is just that understanding that everybody has very different experiences, and it's okay to ask. It's also okay to want to learn more. And I think that even in today's society, we just don't talk enough about it, right? We send our children into battle and we don't know if they're going to return home. Some of the unlucky don't, and some of the lucky do. I don't know if it's necessarily luck or, what it might be. Um, I always said that I would never date a military man nor a first responder or police officer. That's just something that I don't know why I had this belief that if I were to get in a relationship with that type of man, that I would be, whether it be left alone or I had this fear of losing them, right? Because those are the stories that we hear. We hear the stories of the lives lost. We hear the stories of troops going international and not coming back. We hear the stories, which I think are important stories that we talk about for that remembrance piece, but also it instills a little bit of fear, I think, in those of us that are potentially looking at spouses, right? Like I know a lot of parents or mothers who their spouse is gone more than often because we're fighting other countries' battles. My personal opinion, not looking to debate by any means, and I'm not saying that my opinion is any better or different or more valuable than anybody else's. That's just how I look at it, is that uh, the United States is fighting other people's battles, and maybe we should keep it inside our country to fight our own battles, because we do have our own battles going on. And so that's all I want to say about that. But I know that everybody's experience is very valuable. And no matter what your family dynamic looked like, I think it's an important conversation to have, whether you've lost someone in military battle or if your family member has made it safely back home and is now a veteran. The resources that we have once they come back in, from my understanding, is not very good. And that's another conversation that potentially needs to be had, right? We have a lot of cases of PTSD. I mean, we lose 22 lives. The 22, I'm totally going to say this wrong and I don't want to, but the 22 lives lost, that happens more often than not because PTSD is a real thing. And having those skills to come back home, it's one thing to be discharged on your own and on your own free will, but it's another thing to be discharged whether it be honorably or dishonorably, and or because you're hurt in battle, right? So and the unfortunate of coming home in a casket, right? That happens too. So I just want to say and give this moment as a moment of remembrance for those that have fought so graciously and brave for our country on this Memorial Day. And so with that said, transition just a little bit, because this is a show about mental health. It is a safe place to be able to have these open conversations and have the dialogue that invokes thoughts and feelings and emotions and all those things. It is a great space for us to bring on guests who are knowledgeable in the mental health space, whether they are a professional, they're holistic, they're life skills based, they are somebody who actually experiences or lives with a mental health challenge. This has been the space that I created to be able to showcase the incredible people that surround us on a daily basis that are advocates and resources for each and every one of you that watches the show. And that's what lights my heart up, is being able to have an array of different guests that want to join the show and give my audience, which is you, tips, tricks, thoughts, processes, things that you can take and actually use in your daily lives. And it has been the most incredible thing that I have done, I feel like, to date. Maybe I've done some pretty cool things. So but I mean, this is episode number 24, which is so awesome because I had an idea last year and I didn't know if it was going to work. And I was like so scared to just jump in and do it. And one day I was like, I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if I'm going to have anybody watch. I don't know if anybody is even going to need this information, but I'm going to do it. And it has been one of the best experience. So I invite you to go back and watch all of the episodes. They're usually only anywhere between 15 minutes to 45 minutes. There's some really great, valuable information from mental health advocates to um, elective surgery coaches to clothing consultants to stocks and Bitcoin. I was like, what's that thing called? To those who live with or experience, my dear friend Steven, he has joined me twice now, which I love every time he does because his story is so unique and it's so important to hear. I've had others who have experienced or live with a mental health challenge, and that's what really leads them into the work that they do. Our stories are powerful. Our stories are valuable. And each and every one of us has a story that should be told. And so if I can give a safe space to showcase those stories, that makes everything worth it. Whether one person or a million people watch this, at least I know that I made a small contribution to showcasing these incredible people, their stories, their experiences, their life, their livelihood in a safe space where we can have great conversation. I also want you to know that if you want to be a guest on the show, you can be too. That's the coolest part, is that it's open to anybody, no matter what your experience is, no matter what your story is, it's open to you. And I love, love, love to have you as my guest. And also, the last thing I want to transition, because it's something that I haven't addressed yet. And I think that it also goes into this day of remembrance, is the most recent school shooting. Yes, I'm going there because I haven't addressed it. It actually happened on a day last week that I was really, really sick with the flu. I actually was not able to get out of bed for 2 days. And my fiance came in and told me, and I was like, what? Like, I couldn't even process. Whew. I couldn't process what would happen, what had happened. And the reason I believe that I couldn't, one, because I was so sick and I just, was at that point that all I wanted to do was sleep. I was so tired. But the other is that it happened at an elementary school, and my son is in elementary school. He just finished his first grade. Unfortunately, had the flu also and missed his last couple of days. But I think that's why this particular school shooting hit me so hard, because knowing that my child is in a elementary school, and this was an elementary school, right? I don't know what any of the answers are. I am not looking to make this political by any means. What I am wanting to say is that we also have to remember our teachers, right? Like, they go into battle almost every single day. And I don't think that we look at it that way. Personally, my mom was a teacher. I said at one point in time I wanted to be a teacher. And then, excuse me. And then I was like, no, 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 no. I don't want to be a teacher. I would much rather be able to go drop my child off and say, bye, have a nice day, see you later, and walk away, because I just don't know if I would have been able to handle that many children all at once. So that's my caveat. The other is that they have so much responsibility, so many things that they have to do on a daily basis, and so many children that they're looking after, that it becomes really hard, potentially, to notice everything. And I've had this conversation with a lot of my friends who were previous educators, who are current educators. And I know that they all have very similar experiences as far as the amount of things that they are trying to juggle on a daily basis in the schools. And so I think that a lot of this comes down to policies of the schools, policies of the districts, policies of the lawmakers, the policies, right? There's a lot of policies that maybe need to be taken a look at. I know personally that at my son's elementary school, they are locked down. The doors are locked. All of the doors are locked all day long, and you have to buzz in. But they buzz you right in. Is there a camera at the front? I believe there is. I don't know. What are the policies that surround that? These are questions that popped up into my head after I heard about last week. And I was like, maybe we need to take a look at this. Do we just buzz people in? Is there a password, a passcode? Do you have to call the school before you go pick up your kid? Like, so many things, right? But then you look over the timeline of school shootings in general, and some of the shootings are children inside that school, right? Like, you can't not have them be in school. Is the answer that we go to clear backpacks? Is the answer that we go to metal detectors? Is the answer that we check bags every single day? I don't know. I don't know what any of the answers are. These are just questions that popped into my head. And so I think that there's a lot of things we need to look at, and the conversations need to continue. I feel like we're going tragedy to tragedy to tragedy to tragedy, and we're not having the conversations in between. It's like the it's not going to happen in my community mentality, and that's got to stop. We've got to have larger conversations. We've got to talk about it as a whole. And I want you to understand that violence and aggression are two very different things. It is also not okay to blame a mental health disorder or illness due to a school shooting, because it is more likely that somebody with a mental health disorder or illness are more likely to harm themselves than they are to harm others. Yes, there can be those cases that the pain that they went through, whether it be bullying, whether it be abuse, whether it be it could be substance abuse, child abuse, domestic abuse. They could have had a really deep trauma that happened over time that was never talked about, that was never resolved. There's so many added layers, but it comes down to potentially, I don't know if this is true or not, this is just my opinion, but potentially that pain, some sort of pain, led them into this belief that they needed to go and take this action against other children and or adults. Whatever led them to this, I don't know if we'll ever fully understand, but those conversations need to be had. And I think that we need to continue to have these conversations instead of going tragedy to tragedy to tragedy. And I think that as parents, as lawmakers, as people in general, how can we make a change? What do we need to give our youth so that they have the support, so they have the safety? And another thing that popped in my mind is, how do we utilize our military, right? Like, instead of going and fighting other battles, how do we use it inside our own country? Do we set up military people that are armed and that are trained at every single school that we have? What is the deterrent? What's going to deter people, children, anyone from shooting up a school? I don't know. But it hit hard, and it took me several days to process. And I know that at least during the pandemic, when kids weren't at school, we actually saw an increase in learning. We saw an increase in kindness, and we saw a decrease in bullying, but we did see an increase in abuse, child abuse cases, domestic abuse cases, murder, violence. As humans, we are not conditioned to actually be isolated. So all of these conversations need to be had. We don't like isolation. Connection is important. Social gatherings are important. Socializing our children is really important. That's why public schools work and don't work. Like, there's so many different dynamics, right? And again, these are just things that are popping my head. I don't know what the answers are, but I want us to remember the lives lost over all of time, not just last week, but over all of time. All of the time that you've known school shootings, all of the time that you've known military to be active, right? This is a day of remembrance of the lives lost to unfortunate violent acts. And we need to have these conversations across the board with everybody in general, I really truly feel. And I would love to hear your thoughts, whether it be in the comments, whether you send me a private message. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm not looking for debate. I'm not looking for your political views. I'm not looking for your gun, right? Like the extreme gun, yes, no, right? I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is more understanding, more conversations, more action. What can we do together to stand united? Because if we stand divided, we're going to fail and we're going to fall. So, how do we unite under our country as a whole? Because this didn't just happen in Texas. This doesn't just happen in Colorado. This doesn't just happen in only certain states. I actually found an article this morning, and I'm putting out a post on my personal page. It's just not ready yet because there's so many thoughts that came to my mind. Is it that we arm our teachers? Is it that we start teaching gun safety at a young age? Safety, training, education helps. And not just school education. How do we start adding these things in? How do we start adding back in like home ec, wood shop, how do we add in all of these things into our school to teach our youth basic skills? How to be a good human, how to be kind, how to be helpful. How do we do this on a higher level and not overwhelm the already overwhelmed teachers? Because I know in Colorado, and I know that across multiple states, that there's a shortage of substitute teachers. And who would want to be a substitute teacher, right? They have to go to battle every single day in our schools. The military battle other battles, right? But within our own country and in our own schools, our teachers are on the front lines. They're looking to protect our future. So how do we as a society start protecting our own future? And I don't know the answers again, but I would love to have the conversation. And I would love to hear your opinion and your thoughts. Not debate, but just your thoughts. Where do we go from here as a country, as a nation that stands together so that we save our future? Because I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of losing our future by their own hands or by the hands of their peers. And when are we going to start having these conversations in a meaningful, actionable, united way? And that's my soapbox for this morning. I hope that what you take out of this is that we as a society band together like we do on today, Memorial Day, to remember the lives that have been lost, that have fought for our country, for our liberties, our rights, our freedom. The teachers that stand on the front line every day to protect our children. It is time to stand together. I may only be one person, and I may only have one show, but I really hope I really truly hope that some of my words impact your soul in just a little way. So thank you so much for watching my soapbox of today for this special Memorial Day episode. And if you haven't, if this is your first time watching Mental Health Mondays, normally I have guests who are professionals in the mental health space, or holistic providers, or advocates for mental health, or those who experience or live with a mental health challenge. So if that's you and you want to be one of my guests, all you have to do is reach out to me, send me a DM, drop me a comment, like, subscribe, share. Make sure you mash down that subscribe button, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, so that we can continue to spread all of my guests' incredible messages across the nation, and we all start standing united instead of divided. And last final thoughts is we can't do this alone. BCC Evolution is a 501c3 nonprofit, all centered around education and community for mental health and suicide awareness. And you can become a warrior for mental health also. With only a $20 donation or more per month to BCC Evolution, you can show the world that you stand united with BCC Evolution as a warrior for mental health. And you get this really super cool shirt that says Warrior for Mental Health and BCC Evolution on the back. So you can go out wherever you go on a daily basis and show your support as a warrior. Again, it's only $20 or more per month. You get that awesome shirt. And what your support goes to is mental health education, mental health and suicide awareness education for teachers, families, parents, those of lower income that can't afford to get educated. Because it's time to be proactive versus reactive. And if you know how to help or support someone who is going through a crisis, you never know, you may be able to save their life. And that's really effing cool and really important. So get educated today and help BCC Evolution educate even more people, because our goal is to educate 1 million people by 2030. And we can do that with your support. The other cool thing that BCC Evolution has going on right now is we are raising $10,000 to thank our teachers. This is something that happened even before the school shooting. But I promised Cherry Creek Schools that I would bring 300, yes, I said them, 300 Be Kind to Your Mind care packages, teacher care packages, to their new teacher orientation this year in August. So we are raising $6,000 for the 300 Be Kind to Your Mind boxes, which, see if I have one. But these are our Be Kind to Your Mind care packages. This one actually happens to be our military care package. It comes with a whole bunch of different items for active military. We are in the talks with another organization within Colorado to do a veteran box. But we have a teacher box also that just gives them all cool, good items to support their mental health and eliminate stress as much as possible. And so that's what we're building. We're going to build 300 boxes and take them with us. Last year we did 62. It will also include a discount towards our mental health first aid classes that we offer for teachers, parents, all of them. And it also will include resources for our teachers, because I don't know about you, but after the most recent school shooting and every time it happens, if I was in school and I was about to graduate and or looking to go into a new school district, I would kind of be really scared. So being able to support them and show them our appreciation by giving out these boxes is what we're looking to accomplish. So 300. I don't even have enough hands or fingers for 300, but we're going to do 300. And then the other $4,000 of the $10,000 is going to 2 mental health first aid fully sponsored classes that we're going to offer to, we have a couple lower income organizations that we partner with that are really looking to offer classes to their parents and their community. And so we already have the communities picked out that we're going to offer those 2 free, fully sponsored. So that's what the other $4,000 of the $10,000 goes to. So again, BCC Evolution has fundraisers that are on our Facebook page and on our Instagram page. We're looking to raise $10,000 to be able to build and deliver and give out 300 Be Kind to Your Mind care packages for teachers to thank them for just wanting to be a teacher and jump in there when, man, front line, I'm telling you, it's the front line. And then also being able to offer the sponsored mental health first aid classes. So if you know anybody, if you know companies, if you know entrepreneurs, if you know generous people that are looking to link arms with BCC Evolution and support us in this effort, please have them jump in, whether it be on Facebook and or Instagram, and donate today so that we can hit our goal. Anything above and beyond that $10,000, we're going to continue to make boxes more and more over the 300 and go give them to existing teachers. So yes, that goes to Colorado-based teachers, but how cool would it be to be able to expand that? And so every $6,000 that we raise, we can do 300 boxes with that amount. Or maybe you know an organization that has products that you think would be incredible inside the box, that would be willing to donate product. The lower cost we can make these boxes with donated products, the more we can make. And how cool would that be? So I just want to say thank you for sticking in and watching. And again, like, subscribe, share, make sure you tell all your friends, and come hang out with me again next Monday at 11 a.m. We do this every single Monday, and we'll jump back into our incredible guests starting next Monday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Same bad place, same bad channel. And I love you all, and I hope you have an amazing Memorial Day in remembrance of those lives that have been lost. Bye, y'all.